Wasabi gangsters. It's me, Chance, checking in. Excuse me. A little congested. Obviously rehearsed this 500 times. As always, we have the real life Riven lightsaber. So it's not anywhere else. It doesn't belong to anybody else. It's just here, and that's all good. So just doing a weekly check-in. Going to talk about books I'm reading currently, books I plan on reading again, which will probably just be a reiteration of what I said last week. If you're looking for that little piece of like a mini TBR of what I put up, you can check last week. I'm going to talk about I'm going to talk about book pickups from the last week and a half that I decided to purchase just because they were interesting. And then I'm going to talk and give another little writing update for book number 2 of the epic dark fantasy series I'm working on. So right now, big read I'm reading after having finished up House of Chains. I was in the middle of The Stand. So we have that here. Chapter 49, right? So we're about, I want to say, oh, look at that. I want to say we are 54% done. Let's find out. Cross our fingers. Let's see. Prepared. 54%. That's honestly so sick. Okay, so 54% done with The Stand right now. I think I was on like 20-something% last week. So I've made good progress there. I've been really hounding it, trying to get it done by either next week or the week after, which puts me into July, which kind of sucks, but my reading's taken a little bit of a hit compared to recent months simply because of how my reading schedule's been going with writing. I listened to Iron Gold, finished that up. I don't think I talked about that last week. My least favorite of the Red Rising series so far. I think I did talk about this. So never mind, we'll move on. As a reiteration, Iron Gold is just did not hit for me. I have Dark Age queued up, ready to listen to. I'm finishing up The Heroes right now on Audible. I've queued up Beowulf to listen to on Audible as well. Just some books that I'm going to be finishing. I picked up Red Sky Morning, which I talked about last week. I finished the prologue. I have not dove deep into this reading as The Stand is really taking priority. This should be a quick read once I actually pick it up and get through it. But right now, The Stand, again, is taking priority. I've made it one volume or one chapter more in Berzerk. Spoilers for Berzerk, real quick. Your boy Guts is fighting the Count currently in volume 1, and he's going through it. So I'm excited to actually pick up this next volume to see kind of how he responds to this tidbit of adversity, which seems to be something that he's going through constantly. I do like this constant unveiling of the mark on his neck and what that means and what it means to the people around him and how he sees people and how he sees the world. It's very interesting, and the slow unveiling of it is actually it's impeccable, and I'm actually really excited to see more. I picked up Tad Williams' Empire of Grass last week. This cover is one of the most beautiful covers, if not the most beautiful cover I have ever seen. I have not read The Witchwood Crown yet. I did read Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, and I did read The Heart of What Was Lost. So I'm excited to get into The Last King of Austin art. Every purchase I get of these, like my Witchwood Crown book, look at this. My Witchwood Crown book had a chip at the bottom here too. But yeah, I'm really excited to get into that. I really love Tad Williams. He's probably my favorite prose author, period. And it's just, his stories are so dense. And with Malazan going, I'm like, let me just focus on one, and then I'll get back to Tad Williams. If you guys want me to talk more about Tad Williams and Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, leave comments below. I will happily talk about it. I picked up Riven Earth. I also got this on digital. I love the cover, and I actually reached out to this cover artist to do some internal artwork for my stuff, just because it was exciting. And I was like, this is cool. And I looked at his other stuff, and it was really awesome. And the opening to this book, like the first page, the first paragraph is near perfect as far as the prologue is concerned. And that's just my assessment. Someone who's not, maybe not qualified to say it, but in terms of hooking you and drawing you in, I just opened it to give it a peek because I was very curious. And there are a lot of people that have been talking about it. It's an indie author, Zammar. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. I'm sure I'm not. But it's incredible. Like, I love it so far. in terms of the one page I read. But it's one I'm really looking to get into, and being that it's like a rather short read, I think maybe I can squeeze it in with... The goal really is to finish the stand. Once the stand is done, I'm gonna dive into Red Sky Morning and try and bang that out, and then my next big read might be Riven Earth. I'm gonna just throw that in there to the TBR a little, and while I'm reading all the little short stories and novellas from Sun Eater and from Ryan Cahill's The Bound and the Broken, reading The Exile. I also will probably be listening to Dark Age and or Beowulf. I think I'm going to go with the shorter reads just because they're less intimidating right now in terms of like the big books I'm getting into. So I'm going to probably listen to Beowulf because it's only like a 2.5 hour listen. On faster speed, it's going to be less than that, maybe 2 hours. So I'm going to listen to that interpretation because I have not listened to a single interpretation of Beowulf yet. And as a writer, I feel like that's kind of like a fantasy. I feel like that's a little bit of a mortal sin. And then I plan on listening to the rest of Blood Meridian, which I had started physical, and my girlfriend and I, we were both trying it out because I got hooked on the road. She's like, oh yeah, I love graphic stories, and so we picked it up, and it's kind of hard, much harder than the road. And my expectations going in were the road, and I got something completely different, which is not a bad thing by any means. I love Cormac's style. I love how unique it is. I love how blunt he is. I love his ability to create tension with just simple verbiage. And so that's something that I'm going to be finishing up the audiobook for because it's a little easier to listen to considering his lack of quotation marks. I picked up a Central Bukowski poetry book, which is it's being used as my tripod right now. Bukowski's probably my favorite poet, considering he's the first adult poet I listened to since like R.L. Stein. But yeah, a little bit of everything, guys. In terms of my writing right now for book one, still done, 227,000 words. Kind of leaving it open. I'm giving it to friends and family to read right now for some notes, just the stuff that I can make it better before sending it over to a developmental editor, which again I have picked out. Book two, we're 63,000 words in. It's Thursday right now, June 27th, I want to say. Maybe it's the 29th. Who's to say? You could probably say if you know what Thursday this week is. It's probably yesterday for you guys watching this video because I'm going to post this up tomorrow on Friday. Yeah, right now just got done with chapter 11. Moving on to chapter 12. I'm introducing a new perspective I'm excited about that I'm going to be doing a novella for this particular character. And this is your real first time. There's a little dip. There's a paragraph or two in book one with him after a pivotal moment just to get, his eyes on a scene that hits pretty hard in a swamp with a gator, but like a cool fantasy alligator. And yeah, that's the update for my book. Currently, things are unfolding a little better. There was a little hump I came up with. I know it's interesting to talk about this vaguely, right? Because it's a dark fantasy book and that's really all you know about it. There was something from the start of this book that I needed to discover. From the start of book one, I needed to discover how I'm going to get to this ending that I had in mind, and it unveiled itself in terms of, in this writing process, the step that needed to be taken, the pivotal step that needed to be taken happened for these main characters, which was great. It was fantastic. I'll say their names as the character. Actually, because this book too, I'm not going to say their names. Because if you come back and you watch this and you have read book one, or you're reading book one in the future and you know their names and you know they live, then that takes some tension out. So I'm not going to say their names and ruin it. That said, that's the end of it. I forgot to mention the little warning going into my book talk about my personal book, but if you watched, thank you. If not, then you're not watching this. Or you skipped ahead and you're watching this, and that's fine too. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you next week for an update.